people think of guinea pigs and the sounds they make, squeaking is probably the main one to spring to mind. It's such a common behaviour, it's easy to assume that guinea pigs will just squeak without fail. But it's not unusual to find ourselves with piggies who aren't squeaking, or who do, but it's not necessarily the right kind of squeaking we want to be hearing. So in this video, I'm going to cover the bad and the good of squeaking, why some pigs might not squeak, and the one way that's guaranteed to get your guinea pig squeaking. I'm going to say squeaking so many times in this video. So firstly, what is squeaking? Well, obviously it's that recognisable high-pitched noise that guinea pigs make, and it's one of many noises that they use to communicate with each other and with us humans as well. But there are a few different types of squeaking and they mean completely opposite things, so it's important to know the difference between them. The first one is what I'm going to call bad squeaking, and this is the squeaking we don't want to hear. Bad squeaks are the sounds that guinea pigs make when they feel alone and afraid and threatened. And the sound itself doesn't sound hugely different from normal squeaking, but it definitely does have a sort of anxious vibe to it. A good example of this is to take a baby guinea pig out of the cage and put him or her somewhere on their own where they don't know and recognise the environment. This will probably result in them squeaking, and it's just them sending out a message to say, help me, I'm alone, I'm afraid, I'm away from the cage, and I just really want to get back there where I can feel safe. And it might sort of build up from a quiet squeak to become quite loud. The other example is when a guinea pig feels threatened. So say you're introducing adult guinea pigs to each other and one of them is very shy, very submissive, and they're faced with a dominant piggy who is just being overly bossy, being overly intimidating, and squeaking is that submissive pig's way of saying, please leave me alone. So when we're bringing our guinea pigs food, it's highly unlikely that we're going to hear these bad squeaks. But it's really important to be aware of this behaviour so that we don't inadvertently put our guinea pigs in a situation where they're stressed, they're anxious, they start squeaking and we think, oh, it's fine, they're happy, when in reality they're not. And once you can recognise the two, good squeaking definitely sounds a lot happier and excited, like they just can't wait for what's about to happen, which is usually food. So why might some guinea pigs not be squeaking? Well, there are a few different reasons. Firstly, they might be relatively new. Say you only brought them home a few weeks ago or even up to a few months ago and they're still settling in. Secondly, it could be that they are relatively young and they haven't been around adult guinea pigs who have been squeaking, so they haven't got to learn the behaviour. But this doesn't mean they won't ever do it. They have the instinct in there, we just need to encourage it out. And the third reason could be that you just have a very shy guinea pig who might have lived with you for a while but is still lacking confidence around you and just needs that bit of extra time and encouragement to express themselves. So how do we get our guinea pigs to start squeaking or wheeking for us? Well, the first option is just to do nothing and eventually you will probably see the behaviour from them. But if you want to speed things up, then taming is a great way of doing this. I have lots of videos on taming, so I will pop a few in the description below if you are relatively new to taming guinea pigs. But basically, by working on taming in general, you are getting your guinea pig to feel more comfortable around you and they are more likely to express themselves through loud squeaking. And taming is usually quite a long process, so building up from just talking to them in the cage, to hand feeding them, stroking them in the cage, and eventually getting them out for lap time and floor time. So we can definitely work on taming with our piggies, but how do we get them specifically to start squeaking? Well, as experienced owners will tell you, guinea pigs can learn quickly to react to certain sounds. So as long as they start to associate a particular sound with something positive, such as food coming, then they will know what's coming, and it's that anticipation that makes them weak. But bear in mind mind, it might not work with all food. Rustling the hay bag, for example, might get them a little bit excited, but they're unlikely to start squeaking, especially because they should have lots of hay already in the cage. And the same applies for the pellet bag or the box of pellets that you can shake up and down. They might get excited, but they might not squeak because it's not something that's specifically seen as a treat by them. What will work though is sounds associated with fresh food, which is one of the favourite things our guinea pigs love to eat. So this could be their daily serving of vegetables or fresh forages. And one of the easiest sounds to create is simply tapping on the side of the plate or bowl that you serve their fresh food in. This is something that they should only hear when it's their feeding time. So make sure you always use the same type of plate or bowl so they can learn to recognise that exact pitch. And what you want to do is make that tapping noise as you are approaching your guinea pig's home. You want to start it from a reasonable distance away so they can hear it quietly and then get excited as it gets nearer and nearer, and this is what's going to get them squeaking. Not if you just start it when you're stood right by the cage and they already know the food's coming imminently. So try this out to begin with, make that tapping noise or whatever other noise that you might pick. It might be something unusual. Maybe it's something that you make yourself that you want your guinea pigs to associate with. Try that whenever you're giving them their fresh food and hopefully you'll start to see a response. If this doesn't work, then you need to level things up, and that is to get into a routine giving your guinea pigs their fresh food. You might not think this will make a difference, but trust me, it really does. Guinea pigs love a good routine. They like knowing when something is going to happen, and they have an internal clock, so they are aware of what time of day it is. So start off by giving your guinea pigs that fresh food at the same time every day, and pick a time that works for you where you can stick to that exact time on most days. And follow the other tips for making that noise when you're approaching the cage and just stick at it. You might have to do it religiously for a few weeks, but eventually they will learn to react not only to the noise, but to the time as well. And this is what I think is really cool about this method, because eventually they won't need any other prompts to remind you that it's feeding time. So you could just be minding your own business or watching TV, and then suddenly, from wherever the guinea pigs are, you'll hear that squeaking, and that will serve as your alarm clock to go and get them their fresh dinner. So if you're working on taming your guinea pigs and you specifically want to get them squeaking more, then try out these methods, try out the routine one in particular, and let me know how it goes. And for those owners who already have their piggies squeaking away, let me know what they respond to most and what time of day they'll start squeaking for you. And for anyone who wants to learn more about guinea pig behaviours, I'll pop up this video for you to watch next, which is 10 strange but common guinea pig behaviours. There are some very unusual ones on there. But that's all for this video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye!